I stood frozen in our bedroom doorway, watching Marcus kiss my sister Claire on our bed. My hands trembled as I gripped the doorframe. The shopping bags I'd been carrying dropped to the floor with a loud thud. They didn't even stop. Claire's eyes met mine over his shoulder, and she smiled. She actually smiled at me while kissing my husband. My heart shattered into a million pieces as Marcus finally turned around, his face showing no guilt, no remorse. "Deborah, we need to talk," he said calmly, like I'd just walked in on him watching television. Claire sat up, adjusting her blouse, that smug smile never leaving her face. "You were always so blind, Debbie," she whispered, using the nickname only family used. I wanted to scream, to cry, to throw something, but my voice caught in my throat. 3 years of marriage, 5 years together, and this was how it ended. Marcus stood up, walking toward me like nothing was wrong. "Don't come near me," I finally managed to say, my voice shaking with rage and heartbreak. He stopped, shrugging carelessly. "You're never home anyway, always working. What did you expect?" Those words cut deeper than the betrayal itself. I ran out of that house like it was on fire, my vision blurred with tears. My phone buzzed constantly as I drove aimlessly through the city streets. Marcus was calling, then Claire, then Marcus again. I threw my phone into the passenger seat, not wanting to hear their excuses or lies. How long had this been going on? How many times had they laughed at me behind my back? I pulled into a random parking lot, finally letting the sobs take over. My whole body shook as I cried, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. I had given Marcus everything. I worked 2 jobs to support his dream of opening a restaurant. I paid our mortgage, our bills, everything, while he found himself. And this was my reward. My phone lit up again, but this time it was my best friend Rita. I answered, barely able to speak. "Deb?" "What's wrong?" Her voice was filled with concern. "Marcus, Claire, together." I choked out between sobs. The silence on the other end told me she understood. "I'm coming to get you. Send me your location." Rita's voice was firm, protective. For the first time that night, I felt like someone actually cared. Rita took me to her apartment, wrapping me in blankets and making hot tea I couldn't drink. She sat beside me on the couch, holding my hand while I told her everything. "How could my own sister do this to me?" I whispered, staring at nothing. Rita's jaw clenched. "Because she's always been jealous of you, Deb. Even I could see it." I thought back to all the times Claire had criticized my choices, my career, even my wedding dress. She'd always wanted what I had, but I never imagined she'd go this far. "What am I going to do?" I asked, feeling lost and broken. Rita squeezed my hand. "You're going to show them both what a huge mistake they made." Her words sparked something inside me, a tiny flame in the darkness. I spent the next 3 days at Rita's place, ignoring all calls and messages. Marcus sent dozens of texts, each one more desperate than the last, but I didn't read them. On the 4th day, I finally looked at my phone. There were voicemails from my mother, Claire, and Marcus. I listened to Marcus's first. "Deborah, please come home so we can talk like adults." I finally went back to the house when I knew Marcus would be at work. I needed clothes and important documents, but I wasn't ready to face him yet. As I packed my things, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. In the trash can near our bed, I found receipts. Hotel receipts dating back 8 months. 8 months they'd been doing this behind my back. My hands shook as I took photos of everything with my phone. I went through Marcus's drawers, finding more evidence of his betrayal. Credit card statements showing expensive dinners and gifts I never received. My heart broke all over again, but this time anger mixed with the pain. I grabbed my laptop and logged into our joint bank account. My eyes widened when I saw the balance. He'd withdrawn $15,000 over the past 6 months, money I'd earned from my 60-hour work weeks. Gone. I took screenshots of everything, my mind racing. Then I found something else in his desk drawer. A lease agreement for an apartment downtown signed by both Marcus and Claire, dated 2 months ago. They'd been planning to leave me, planning their future while I worked myself to exhaustion for us. I called my lawyer that same day, a woman named Patricia Chen, who Rita had recommended. I want a divorce, and I want to take him for everything he's got, I said firmly, my voice no longer shaking. Patricia reviewed the evidence I'd gathered and smiled. Deborah, you have an excellent case. New York is an equitable distribution state, and with proof of his financial misconduct and adultery, we can definitely work in your favor. But I wanted more than just a fair divorce settlement. I wanted Marcus to feel the pain he'd caused me. The house is in my name only, right? I confirmed with Patricia. Yes, you purchased it before the marriage. It's your sole property. I nodded, formulating a plan. What if I want him out immediately? Patricia explained the legal process for removing him from the property. I signed the papers that afternoon, feeling stronger with each signature. When I left Patricia's office, I made another call, this one to my boss, requesting an emergency meeting. I'd been offered a promotion to regional manager 3 months ago, but turned it down because Marcus said we needed me home more. That was clearly a lie. Mr. Harrison, I'd like to discuss that promotion if it's still available. Mr. Harrison was thrilled to hear from me. Deborah, I was hoping you'd reconsider. The position is yours if you want it. The promotion came with a 60% salary increase and my own office. I accepted immediately, starting the following Monday. But I wasn't done yet. I drove to Marcus's restaurant, the one I'd helped fund with my savings. His business partner, Derek, was there, a good man who'd always treated me with respect. Derek, can we talk privately? I asked. He looked concerned, but led me to the office. Is everything okay? I told him everything, watching his face change from shock to anger. I had no idea, Deborah. I'm so sorry. I pulled out my phone, showing him the bank statements. Marcus has been stealing from our joint account. I think you should check the business accounts too. Derek's face went pale as he logged into their system. Within minutes, he discovered Marcus had been skimming money from the restaurant. That bastard, Derek muttered. This is embezzlement. I suggested he might want to consider buying Marcus out. Derek looked at me with newfound respect. You're absolutely right. The next day, I had the locks changed at my house. I hired a company to pack all of Marcus's belongings and move them to a storage unit. Then I waited. Marcus came home that evening to find his key didn't work. I watched from the window as he tried multiple times, confusion turning to anger. He pounded on the door, yelling my name. I opened it, with the chain still on. You need to leave, Marcus. You're trespassing. His face turned red with rage. This is my house too. You can't just lock me out. I smiled coldly. Actually, I can. The house is solely in my name. Check with a lawyer if you don't believe me. Your things are in a storage unit. You'll receive the address and code via email. Behind him, I saw our neighbors watching, their faces showing disgust as they looked at Marcus. Word had spread fast in our small community. Claire had made sure everyone knew about her victory over me, but it had backfired spectacularly. Deborah, please, let's talk about this rationally. Marcus's voice changed, becoming softer, manipulative. There's nothing to discuss. You'll be served divorce papers tomorrow. My lawyer will be in touch. I closed the door on his protests, my heart racing but my resolve firm. The divorce papers hit Marcus hard, especially when he realized I was claiming sole ownership of the house and demanding repayment of the money he'd stolen from our joint account. His lawyer called Patricia, trying to negotiate. My client feels Mrs. Winters is being unreasonable, his lawyer stated. Patricia's response was pure gold. Your client committed adultery with his wife's sister and embezzled from their joint account. I think Mrs. Winters is being quite reasonable, actually. But I had more moves to make. I called my mother, something I'd been avoiding. Mom, I need to tell you something about Claire and Marcus. The conversation was difficult, but I laid out all the evidence. My mother was silent for a long moment. Your father and I will handle Claire, she finally said, her voice tight with anger. Then I made the hardest call of all. I contacted Marcus's mother, Sarah, who I'd always been close with. Sarah, I'm so sorry to tell you this, but Marcus and I are divorcing. I explained everything, hearing her gasp and cry on the other end. Deborah, I'm so ashamed of my son. I raised him better than this. My promotion started on Monday, and I threw myself into work with renewed energy. My new office had a view of the city, and I decorated it with photos that didn't include Marcus. My co-workers congratulated me, and I felt proud for the first time in years. Meanwhile, Marcus's world was crumbling. Derek had officially filed a lawsuit against him for embezzlement from the restaurant. Marcus was forced to sell his share at a loss to pay back what he'd stolen. His dream restaurant, the one I'd helped him build, was no longer his. Claire called me repeatedly, but I never answered. She left voicemails that ranged from apologetic to angry. Deborah, you're being so dramatic. Marcus and I are in love. You should be happy for us. Her delusion was almost funny. Then came the message that changed everything. Deb, I'm pregnant. Marcus and I are having a baby. I thought you should know from me first. I stared at my phone, feeling nothing but pity for her. She had no idea what she'd gotten herself into. Marcus had never wanted children. We'd discussed it many times. This pregnancy would trap Claire in a way she couldn't imagine yet. I decided to respond to Claire's message, but not in the way she expected. I sent a single text, congratulations. I hope Marcus is more faithful to you than he was to me. Check his phone records from last week. I knew something Claire didn't. Marcus had been messaging his ex-girlfriend, Vanessa, trying to reconnect. I'd seen the messages while gathering evidence for my divorce. Claire called me within an hour, screaming, "You're lying! Marcus loves me." I laughed, actually laughed. Claire, you really think you're special? You're just the latest in a long line, but sure, believe what you want. I hung up before she could respond. That evening, Rita came over with wine and takeout. I heard about Claire's pregnancy, she said carefully. I nodded, surprisingly calm. It's not my problem anymore. Rita raised her glass. To new beginnings and leaving trash where it belongs. We clinked glasses, and for the first time since this nightmare began, I felt genuinely happy. My phone buzzed with a message from Patricia. Marcus's lawyer is trying to negotiate again. They're getting desperate. The divorce proceedings moved faster than Marcus expected. Patricia was ruthless, presenting evidence of his adultery, financial misconduct, and fraud. In court, Marcus looked smaller, somehow diminished. His expensive suit couldn't hide the fact that he was losing everything. Claire sat in the back, her hand on her still flat stomach, glaring at me. I refused to look at either of them, keeping my eyes forward with dignity. The judge reviewed our prenuptial agreement, which clearly stated that any assets acquired through fraudulent means would be returned with interest. Marcus's face went white. Your Honor, I can explain, he started. But his lawyer grabbed his arm, stopping him. The judge ruled in my favor on almost every point. I would keep the house. Marcus would repay everything he'd stolen with 20% interest, and he'd be responsible for all court costs. As we left the courthouse, Marcus tried to approach me. Deborah, please, this is destroying me. Can't we work something out? I finally looked at him, really looked at him. You destroyed yourself, Marcus. I'm just making sure you pay for it. Word of my divorce spread through my professional network. But instead of pity, I received respect. Other women reached out, sharing their own stories of betrayal and comeback. I started feeling less alone, more powerful. One evening, I received an unexpected visitor. Sarah, Marcus's mother, stood at my door with tears in her eyes. May I come in? I hesitated, but let her inside. We sat in my living room, the silence heavy between us. I'm so sorry for what my son did to you, Sarah said quietly. You were the best thing that ever happened to him, and he threw it away. I felt tears welling up but pushed them back. Thank you for saying that. Sarah reached into her purse, pulling out an envelope. This is from me, not Marcus. I want you to have it. Inside was a check for $20,000. Sarah, I can't accept this, I protested. She shook her head firmly. Yes, you can. Consider it compensation for the pain my family has caused you. I know it doesn't fix anything, but please take it. I hugged her. Both of us crying now. She was losing me as a daughter-in-law, and I was losing the only mother figure who truly supported me. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, I was thriving. My new position kept me busy and fulfilled. I'd started working out, eating better, and focusing on myself for the first time in years. I looked better than I had in my 20s, and I felt unstoppable. Then I heard, through mutual friends, that Marcus and Claire's relationship was falling apart. The pregnancy was difficult, and Marcus was struggling with the reality of fatherhood. He'd lost his restaurant, his reputation, and was working as a line cook at someone else's establishment. Claire had moved back in with our parents, who barely spoke to her. The fairy tale she'd imagined was turning into a nightmare. One Saturday, I ran into Marcus at the grocery store. He looked exhausted, with dark circles under his eyes and wrinkled clothes. Deborah, he said, his voice cracking. You look amazing. I smiled politely. Thank you. I'm doing very well. He shifted uncomfortably. I've been wanting to talk to you, to apologize properly. I wanted to walk away, but something made me stay. I'm listening. Marcus took a deep breath. I made the worst mistake of my life. Claire and I... It's not what I thought it would be. I let Marcus continue, curious about where this was going. She's not you, Deborah. She's demanding, selfish, and only cared about taking what you had. Now that she has me, she realizes I'm not the prize she thought I was. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Marcus, what did you expect? You built a relationship on lies and betrayal. Did you think that would lead to happiness? He looked down at his shoes. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I can't sleep anymore. Every night I see your face from that day, when you found us. The pain in your eyes haunts me. There it was. The title of my story, made real. He couldn't sleep without seeing me, without being haunted by what he'd done. That's your conscience, Marcus. That's guilt. And you should feel it every single day. His eyes filled with tears. Is there any way, any possibility that we could try again? I'd spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I stared at him in disbelief. You're having a baby with my sister, and you're asking me to take you back. He shook his head frantically. I'll leave her. I'll do whatever it takes. I took a step back from Marcus, disgust replacing any pity I'd felt. You would abandon your child, your unborn baby? That tells me everything I need to know about who you really are. Marcus reached for my arm, but I pulled away. I'm not that person, Deborah. I'm desperate. I've lost everything. I looked at him coldly. No, Marcus. You threw everything away. There's a difference. I started to walk away, but he called after me. You've changed. You're harder now, colder. I turned back one last time. know, I just finally learned my worth, something I should have done years ago. As I drove home, my phone rang. It was Claire. Against my better judgment, I answered. "What do you want, Claire?" Her voice was small, broken. "I need help, Deborah. Marcus he's not the man I thought he was." I laughed bitterly. "Really? What gave it away, the cheating or the lying?" She started crying. "He's been seeing someone else, some woman from his new job. I'm 6 months pregnant and alone." Part of me wanted to hang up, but another part remembered we'd once been sisters who shared everything. I met Claire at a coffee shop, neutral territory. She looked terrible, her pregnancy obvious now, her face puffy from crying. We sat in silence for a moment before she spoke. "I'm so sorry, Deborah." I don't know what I was thinking. I sipped my coffee, studying her. "You were thinking you wanted my life. You've always wanted what I had." Claire nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I was jealous. You were always the smart one, the successful one. Mum and Dad were always so proud of you. Marcus paid attention to me, made me feel special. I felt a pang of sympathy but pushed it down. So you destroyed my marriage because you were jealous?" She looked down at her hands. "It wasn't supposed to be like this. Marcus promised me everything. He said he loved me, that we'd be happy together." I leaned forward. "Claire, Marcus is a liar. He lied to me for 8 months. What made you think he wouldn't lie to you?" She sobbed harder. "I was so stupid. I ruined everything, and now I'm having his baby, and he doesn't even care." I sat back, processing this. My sister, who'd caused me so much pain, was now experiencing her own karma. I didn't forgive Claire that day, but I didn't walk away either. I told her she needed to figure out her life without Marcus or me fixing it for her. "You're about to be a mother. You need to grow up and take responsibility." She nodded, wiping her tears. "I know, I wanted you to know I'm sorry. I know it doesn't change anything." After she left, I sat alone, thinking about everything that had happened. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Hi, Deborah. This is Vanessa. We met at Marcus's restaurant opening years ago. I think we should talk." I was intrigued. Vanessa was Marcus's ex before me. I agreed to meet her the next day. When we met at a wine bar, Vanessa was stunning and sophisticated. "Thank you for meeting me," she said. "I heard about your divorce, and I felt I should tell you something." I listened as Vanessa explained that Marcus had cheated on her too with multiple women. "He has a pattern. He finds successful, kind women, uses them until he's built himself up, then discards them for the next one." My stomach turned. So I was just another victim in his pattern. Vanessa nodded sympathetically. "I'm telling you this because Marcus contacted me recently. He wanted to reconnect, said he'd made mistakes. I told him to never contact me again, but I thought you should know." I thanked Vanessa, and we ended up talking for hours. She'd gone through her own revenge journey with Marcus years ago and had come out stronger. "The best revenge is success and happiness," she told me. "He thought he could use us and move on, but we're both doing better than he ever will." Her words resonated with me. I realized I'd been so focused on making Marcus pay that I'd forgotten about building my own happiness. That night I made a decision. I was done letting Marcus and Claire occupy space in my mind. Over the next month, I threw myself into my work and personal life. I started dating again, nothing serious, just remembering what it felt like to be appreciated. I joined a gym and made new friends who didn't know about my past. Then I got a call from Patricia. "Deborah, Marcus filed a motion to reduce his repayment schedule. He claims financial hardship." I smiled. "Deny it. He made his choices." But the universe wasn't done with Marcus yet. I received a call from Derek, Marcus's former business partner. "Deborah, I thought you should know. The restaurant is being featured in a major food magazine, and they want to interview the owners about our success. I was confused. That's wonderful, Derek, but why are you telling me? He chuckled. Because I'm going to tell them the truth, that the restaurant's success was partly due to your initial investment and support. Marcus tried to erase your contribution, but I won't let him. The article came out 2 weeks later. It praised the restaurant's success and specifically mentioned my early financial support and business advice. It also noted that the original co-founder, Marcus Winters, was no longer with the establishment due to ethical violations. The article went viral in food industry circles. I received messages from entrepreneurs wanting to meet me, praising my business sense. My boss even mentioned it, impressed by my investment acumen. Meanwhile, Marcus's reputation took another hit. He couldn't find decent work in the industry. Every restaurant owner had read about his embezzlement and ethical violations. He was blacklisted. I heard through the grapevine that he was working at a fast food chain, barely making ends meet. 6 months later, I was at a charity gala for my company when I saw him. Marcus was there, working as a waiter. Our eyes met across the room and I saw something break in him. He looked away quickly, his face red with shame. Rita, who was with me, noticed too. Is that? I nodded. Yes, let's not make a scene. But Marcus approached our table to take our order, his hands shaking. Good evening, ladies. Can I get you anything to drink? His voice was barely a whisper. I looked up at him calmly. A glass of champagne, please. Rita ordered as well, and Marcus hurried away. That must be so weird for you, Rita said softly. I shook my head. Actually, I feel nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, nothing. And it was true. Looking at Marcus, broken and humiliated, I felt empty of any emotion toward him. He'd become irrelevant to my life. Later that evening, Marcus found me alone for a moment. Deborah, I just want you to know I think about you every day. Every night when I try to sleep, I see your face. I see what I did to you, and it kills me. I looked at him with genuine curiosity. Do you actually feel guilty, Marcus? Or do you just miss the life I provided? Marcus flinched at my question. I deserve that. I deserve all of this. He gestured around the room. Working here, seeing you succeed while I've lost everything, it's my punishment. I studied him for a moment. Marcus, you're not being punished. You're experiencing the consequences of your choices. There's a difference. He looked defeated. Claire left me, took the baby to her parents' house. She won't let me see my daughter. My own mother barely speaks to me. I have nothing left. For a brief moment, I felt a flicker of sympathy. But then I remembered finding him in our bed with my sister, remembered the months of lies, remembered the stolen money. You had everything, Marcus. A wife who loved you, a successful business, a good life. You chose to destroy it. That's on you, not me. He nodded slowly. I know. I just needed you to know that you haunt me. Every single day, every single night. I can't escape what I did to you. I stood up, preparing to return to my table. Good. Maybe eventually you'll learn to be a better person. But that's not my concern anymore. As I walked away, I felt lighter, freer. This was closure. True, final closure. A year after my divorce, I was promoted again, this time to Vice President of Operations. I'd also started my own consulting business on the side, helping other women rebuild after divorce. Life was full, meaningful, and entirely mine. I'd even started dating someone new, a kind architect named Julian, who treated me with respect and genuine care. One evening, my mother called. We'd rebuilt our relationship slowly after Claire's betrayal. Deborah, your sister wants to see you. She has something to tell you. I hesitated but agreed. Claire came to my office the next day, looking healthier and more mature than I'd seen her in years. Her daughter, now almost a year old, was with our mother. "Thank you for seeing me," Claire said, quietly. "I owe you more than an apology. I owe you the truth about why I really did what I did." I leaned back in my chair, curious. Claire took a deep breath. "Marcus approached me first. He told me you were planning to leave him, that you'd been cheating on him with your boss. He said he was heartbroken and needed comfort." My jaw dropped. "And you believed him?" Claire continued, her voice shaking. "He was so convincing, so hurt. I thought I was helping him, and then things went too far. By the time I realized he'd lied about everything, I was already in too deep." I processed this information, anger rising again. "So Marcus manipulated both of us?" She nodded, tears in her eyes. "I should have talked to you first. I should have questioned him. I was stupid and jealous, and I let him use that against me." I stood up, walking to the window. "Does this change anything, Claire? You still slept with my husband. You still smiled at me while doing it." Claire's voice broke. "I know. I hate myself for it every day. My daughter will grow up knowing what I did, knowing I destroyed our family. That's my burden to carry." I turned to face her. "Why are you telling me this now?" She wiped her tears. "Because you deserve to know the whole truth. And because I wanted you to know that Marcus planned this. He wanted to trade you for me because he thought I'd be easier to control, that I'd be grateful enough to never question him." I sat down, stunned. Marcus's betrayal ran even deeper than I'd thought. After Claire left, I contacted Patricia again. "Marcus deliberately planned my sister's seduction. Is there anything we can do legally?" Patricia researched and found that while it didn't change our divorce settlement, it did give me ammunition if Marcus ever tried to modify the agreement. I also realized something important. I'd won. Not just legally or financially, but in every way that mattered. Marcus had tried to destroy me, to trade me in for what he thought would be a better option. Instead, he'd freed me to become the best version of myself. I'd built a successful career, started my own business, found genuine happiness, and learned my true worth. Marcus, meanwhile, had lost everything: his restaurant, his reputation, his family, his peace of mind. Every night, just as the title promised, he couldn't sleep without seeing me, without being haunted by what he'd thrown away. That evening, I met Julian for dinner. He'd planned a surprise, taking me to a rooftop restaurant with a view of the city. "I know we've only been dating for 6 months, he said nervously, "but I wanted to tell you something." I held my breath, hoping he wasn't moving too fast. "I'm falling in love with you, Deborah, and I promise you, I'll never make you regret trusting me." I looked at Julian, this good man who'd shown me that not all men were like Marcus, and smiled. "I'm falling in love with you too." As we sat together, overlooking the city lights, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. It was Marcus. "I saw you tonight, leaving your office with that man. You look happy, happier than you ever looked with me. I'm glad, even though it kills me. I want you to know I'm getting help, therapy, trying to become the man I should have been for you. Not because I think we'll ever get back together, but because I owe it to my daughter to be better. You were right about everything. I hope someday you can forgive me, but I understand if you never do. You haunt me, Deborah, every day, every night. I can't escape the memory of the woman I destroyed for nothing. I just wanted you to know that you won. You became everything you were meant to be, and I became nothing. That's exactly what I deserved." I showed the message to Julian, who squeezed my hand supportively. I didn't respond to Marcus. There was nothing left to say. He would carry his guilt forever, and I would carry my success, my happiness, and my hard-won peace. The revenge I'd sought had come full circle. Not through cruelty, but through living well, succeeding greatly, and refusing to let his betrayal define me. Marcus thought I'd never leave, never recover, never become more than the woman he'd used and discarded. He was wrong. And now, every night, he couldn't sleep without seeing the woman he'd lost, the life he'd thrown away, and the future he'd destroyed with his own hands. I'd won not by destroying him, but by rebuilding myself into someone unstoppable. And that was the sweetest revenge of all.